All right, DOES. Give my mayor, your mayor, our mayor, a rousing welcome applause. Welcome home, Mayor Bowser. Welcome home. DOES is homecoming. Welcome back. Man. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and have a seat. Thank you so much. Welcome back, Team DOES. You know, I got to say, I've been at a couple of other agencies, and I have my esteemed colleagues up here representing some of the best agencies in the District of Columbia. But Mayor Bowser, let me tell you, don't nobody do it on Minnesota Avenue like the D.C. Department of Employment Services. The best agency in the District of Columbia. DOES, make some noise. Mayor Bowser, it's been a long 17 months, but what I know for sure is that the team at 4058 Minnesota Avenue is ready to go to work. We are back, we're ready, the city is open, and we're ready to serve our customers. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to the amazing Artrell Ruiz, who represents our federal workforce program, who's also a Ward 4 resident, a proud mom, and an amazing team member, part of the DOES family. Artrell?
Hello, everybody. I'm so super excited to be here today, seeing everybody. It's been a very, very long year, as everybody knows. And I'm also super, super excited that our mayor is here. I'm proud of our director, and like she said, I'm a proud mother of a 5-year-old son. Okay. And I'm extremely thankful for all the hard work and dedication of our director, of our mayor, of our mayor, for the tireless effort of trying to reopen up our city. So I'm super, super excited that the schools are going to be reopening soon. So I can send my son back to school. I'm super excited that the summer camp's open, so I got into summer camp, and so I'm happy he's there today. Okay. So with that said, I just wanted to thank everybody again. I'm so proud of the actions of our mayor during our crisis, of racial crisis, of, just the social unrest that's been going on, and even more proud to call D.C. the next 51, the 51st state, my home, okay? And with that said, I ask you all to join me in welcoming the mayor of the District of Columbia, the Honorable Muriel Bowser.
Well, good morning, DOES. DOES, DOES, DOES. Welcome home. Sit down, everybody. Good morning and welcome back. And I have one big important message for everyone. DC is open. It is a big, big day, and a good day in D.C. government, because we are welcoming the entire workforce. And I want to say a big thank you to you, DOES, because it is true. Thank you. I have one on my hair. But we know at DOES, a lot of people have been reporting in person to work throughout this pandemic, so give them a big round of applause. We also know, Director, because of this pandemic, you have received an unprecedented number of calls, emails, text messages, and we know that you have put out to people who needed access to their benefits over $2 billion. Give yourselves a round of applause. And as we recover, we're going to be asked to do even more to make sure that not only folks who need relief are getting relief, but people are going to be retraining. They're going to be looking for new jobs. They're going to be trying to find their pathway to the middle class. And that is what we do at DOES. So I want to thank Director Unique Morris Hughes for her outstanding leadership. Dr. Morris Hughes has been making sure that you, first and foremost, as employees of this agency, have what you need to be safe, to be supported, and to get the job done. She has been a key member of our senior team, participating in all of those senior discussions to handle our relief and now our recovery. I also want to acknowledge other members of my cabinet who are here. Let me start with another woman who has been so key to how we have kept D.C. residents alive, tested, vaccinated, and now open. Dr. LaQuandra Nesbitt. Give her a big round of applause. Dr. Nesbitt shares some good news with us. We announced several weeks ago that D.C. had achieved President Biden's goal of having all adults, 70% of them vaccinated by July 4th. We did it, D.C. Last week, she told me that we had also achieved another number, having 70% of 12-year-old and older vaccinated in D.C. You did it, D.C. So I want to thank all of our healthcare workers, our public health officials at D.C. Health, our vaccine outreach teams, and everyone who has been spreading the word about vaccination. And it's true, while we've hit 70%, what does that mean? We have 30% to go. And we want to hit those people too, because as you're reading on the news, all of the information about variants and the like, that we've done the work that we need to do to protect ourselves. We've done it in D.C., we've done it in Maryland, that's part of the DMV, and we've done it in Virginia, that's part of the DMV. So the DMV has done what it needs to do to get protected. Now, I need you to be my vaccine ambassadors to the people in your family, at your church, in your neighborhood. And you know some people, right? I know you do. Let's get them vaccinated. So we're going to handle that. I also want to acknowledge Ventress Gibson, the director of DCHR. Thank you, Ventress. DCHR has also gotten a lot of calls and texts and visits because when we had to go home, we modified our government operations literally overnight. You guys were flexible with your equipment, your calls, your homes, all of those things have worked for us for the last 16 months while we get through this pandemic. I also want to acknowledge Jay Melder, the Assistant City Administrator. Give it up for Jay. Jay and Dr. Nesbitt have been a part of the policy team that have advised me throughout this pandemic and all of the things that we needed to do, including making sure our D.C. government facilities are safe for our employees and our customers. And also helped us ramp up our vaccination portal. Everybody know about the vaccination portal? That means if you go on and, put up your vaccine status, you get 8 hours of leave. You heard about that? If you haven't done it, go to PeopleSoft and make sure that you do that. 93% of the people who have entered their information are fully vaccinated. Those are your colleagues. I expect more people to log on today to log in your vaccination status. And let me say that many agencies have fun events going on this week, although it's always fun at work, I think. Work is fun. And a lot of events are going on, including what DOES has done for Homecoming Week. And I was glad that I was able to come just for a minute for Homecoming Week. We also have been very thoughtful about how everybody can manage, and we've tried to give everybody enough time to make plans. I think you recognize that being in a modified operation for 15 to 16 months has been difficult for a lot of our programs and services. When we started, 60% of people were on full telework. And that includes some people who didn't have a lot of telework that they could do at home because their jobs really required them to be at their workstations. And as we have gone through the various phases, we got up to, where were we just before last week? We're about 50% are telework. And now most people are spending most of their hours in person starting today. So we have also expanded a number of our in-person services. And as we continue to go through our phases of reopening, members of the public will go to our websites to make sure they know exactly what's in person. What we also know and have learned a lot, and we will continue to learn about the tools that we developed during the pandemic and during our modified government operations, because some of those tools were more efficient and better, and we want to keep those. And so the directors are going to give me a report back about what of those tools do we need to keep. So we should all think of this as not just a return to normal, but a return to better than normal. And we will spend some time learning about all of those things that worked better. Finally, I want to reiterate the announcement that I made last week. So fully vaccinated DC government employees will only need to wear masks under the following conditions, but you should feel free to wear a mask whenever you want to. But you have to wear a mask when interacting with with customers and members of the public, in customer service spaces while open to the public, in congregate facilities such as shelters and correctional facilities, healthcare facilities, and schools, and in other limited circumstances in the CA's order. And all of your directors will issue that, so we'll let you see that order so you know what you need to do. So I just want to end by thanking all 37,000 of you. You made us look good in DC government. You made us look good. I believe we've coordinated the strongest pandemic response in the nation based on truth, science, people sticking together, making tough decisions, and following public health guidance. But like I always like to say, we got to finish strong. We got to get over the tape. And that requires us really focusing on our residents that need more help to get through the pandemic, but also bringing our economy back, which you play a key role in, people finding good jobs, us attracting good jobs, and people finding a better life for themselves and their families right here in D.C. So thank you, DOES. We did it. We did it. So with that, I think I'm turning to Director Gibson, and then I'll take a few questions.
Good morning, and how do you follow the phenomenal Mayor Bowser, the best mayor in the United States of America? And the best way to follow her is for me to be brilliant, be bright, and be gone. On that note, silver and gold have I none, but I have the honor of standing before you and the privilege to say thank you to you and to the 37,000 other employees in Department of Corrections, DCHR, Public Works, Parks and Rec, DOES. Exactly. MPD, Fire and EMS, DSB, we can go on. And we held this city strongly. And it is because of the leadership that you see behind me. And we were always there to make sure that our residents were taken care of and that you, the employees, were taken care of. So thank you. And in the words of my mother, who has passed on, she would say, if my words were a hug, I would just embrace you strongly. Thank you.
All right, DOES. So I am going to take a few press questions, emphasis on a few, because I have an important meeting, another important meeting at the White House. Sam.
Mayor, yesterday we covered the DMV, and there were hundreds of people out there in the heat. And talking to my cameraman who shot it yesterday, he said that apparently they were even telling folks they couldn't give people water on D.C. property, stuff like that. But in any event, what about this? I mean, it just, how are you going to work this out? Is a DMV, is that open yet on a regular basis?
So I remember when you asked me this question, and you said, when are we going to open and not have appointments? And I think I told you then that we're going to open and not have appointments, but it means when people come first come, first serve, then you will have lines. And so what we have done in advance of a full in-person opening of DMV, I think July 20th, which is next week, we have added several days, including Sundays. So your cameraman was there on a Sunday, right? That's not a typical work day for DC government, but we've added that as a day of work. So people who cannot go in person for their services, which there are some, they can go on those days. We continue to ask people to handle the business that can be handled online, and that's the vast majority of DMV interactions. So we are still completing the appointments that were booked in June. So our staff is primarily working on those, and we have added in-person days. I think there were 4 or 5 that were added, including 2 Sundays. The holiday was added. And then next week, the service centers will open.
Can I ask another question?
Yep.
You're meeting with President Biden this afternoon. The head of the D.C. Police Union put out a statement today basically saying that the city had reached the 100th homicide in July, when normally it is much later in the year. He criticized the council for the bill it passed last year and said almost 400 police officers have left the force, and it is smaller than it's been in years. How do you respond to that?
Well, I haven't seen the statement, but I don't quarrel with the fact of the fewer number of police officers on the force.
What are your discussions with the president? Is it going to be bringing in more police, or do you have any idea exactly what you're going to talk about?
I do, but I won't preview it. I will give him the courtesy of having that discussion directly. But I think that we are unique in the system, and the federal government plays an outsized role in our criminal justice system. So that is part of what I'll discuss.
Is it just you, Mayor, or is it several mayors? Or
I believe that there are several elected officials and several police leaders.
Mayor Bowser, if I could follow up on Sam's question about
Sure.
the DMV. Is there any consideration to continuing to maybe do a hybrid of allowing people to continue to make appointments and have the option of going in person and just waiting in line? Is that being considered, or are you just going back to first come, first serve?
First come, first serve, starting on July 20th. And that's not to say that DMV or other agencies will recommend changes in their operations as we move forward. But next week, our service centers will be open.
And then can I ask about, so you made clear pretty much the policy for government employees when they're interacting in these workplaces. What about the public? What can they expect? What will be the requirement for the public if somebody shows up at the DMV or at DCRA for a permit?
Sure.
And they go inside to interact inside a government building?
Thank you for that question, Mark. In DC government buildings, masks are required. The exception is for vaccinated employees who have submitted their vaccination status to our portal, our HR portal. And the other exceptions I just mentioned, when our employees are working with customers in customer service spaces, in congregate facilities like our DC jail or homeless shelters, healthcare officials who are working with the public.
So to be clear, so the public would be required to wear a mask regardless of their vaccination status?
That's correct.
Okay. And then can you talk about the vaccine? You know, you tout the vaccination percentage of the D.C. population overall, but in what you released today, the D.C. government employees are much lower percentage, at about 53% compared to more than 70% for the general population. So what do you attribute that to, and what would what are you going to do to try to close that?
No, that's not what I said. What I
Well,
said.
I think that's what the data is that you gave
No,
us.
what I said was half of the employees have reported their data, and of those, 93% are vaccinated. So what I expect is that people, now that they're in the office and they're getting reminded, and their coworkers are asking them, have you gone to the portal? I think more employees will enter their information into the portal. Now, keep in mind that I think the people who haven't been vaccinated are probably more reluctant to enter their information into the portal. So we're continuing to emphasize to our employees, like we do with everyone else, that how important it is to get vaccinated. We don't have any reason to think that our employees are much different than the general public, which means we probably think we're at 70%, and we have some work to do with our employees as well.
And my last question on this policy. So you talked about the policy for indoors. What about the policy for outdoors, for government employees who work outdoors and interact with the public, whether it be at the inspection lane at DMV or police officers out in the public? Are they required to wear masks?
We do already have in the CA's guidance. And Jay, can you speak to this question more specifically, because I'll be testing my memory.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Mark. So any DC employee who's interacting with a member of the public at a close proximity outside is required to wear a mask as well.
Okay, so that includes DC police?
It includes DC police
If
they're in close proximity.
And I think it's also a time that we define what close proximity is by time. And I think my memory serves me, it's 15 minutes.
15 minutes, yes, ma'am.
So in close proximity for 15 minutes?
Yes, correct. All right, I think that's it. Let's go to work. Thanks.